You know that feeling when a place just pops onto your radar? Maybe you see a photo or hear someone mention it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Tallinn, Estonia seems to have that quality for a lot of people lately. It's this city straddling a really fascinating line,
Between what?
between this, wonderfully intact medieval past and a really forward-thinking, digitally advanced present. It's the capital, largest city in Estonia, home to over 450,000 people.
Right. And we've looked at a couple of sources, a local summer guide and a more general city overview to really get under the skin of the place.
Exactly. So our goal for this deep dive is basically to cut through the usual descriptions and pull out the really interesting stuff, the memorable bits about Tallinn.
Think of it as your shortcut to understanding what makes this Baltic city special. Identifying the must-sees, the must-dos.
Okay, let's jump in. The Old Town seems like the obvious starting point, right? It's got UNESCO World Heritage status.
Which is huge. Basically means it's globally significant historically and culturally.
And the local guide actually says walking through it feels atmospheric and a little bit unreal, almost like a film set. But these aren't just props, are they?
No way. These are actual 14th century merchant houses. Incredibly well preserved. You can't help but, imagine the history inside those walls.
And then you hit Koja Platz, the town hall square.
Yeah, dominated by the town hall itself, which, get this, is celebrating its 700th anniversary this year.
700 years. Yeah. Oldest city hall in Northern Europe. That's quite something.
It really is. And right there on the square is the town hall pharmacy, which sounds way more interesting than your average Boots.
Yeah. It's still a working pharmacy, but it's also got this museum room with antique medicines and stuff.
Exactly. A real window into, medieval healthcare. And the guide mentions merchants used to meet there for big decisions over spiced red wine.
And you can still try the wine. That's brilliant. Talk about living history.
Totally. It shows how these places adapt, right? Still serving a purpose, but also preserving the past.
Okay, so a medieval town, it needs defenses. And Tallinn had them. 46 defense towers linked by walls.
Serious stuff. Paints a picture of a very well-protected city.
And the Keek into Coke Fortification Museum sounds like the place to really get a feel for that. The guide calls it 3 museums in one.
Right. You can explore a tower, learn about medieval life, actually walk along the city wall.
Oh, cool. With views over the Danish King's Garden and St. Nicholas Church.
Yeah, and then you can go down into these 17th century underground bastion passages. They found old, ornate stones down there. That's pretty evocative.
Wow, like peeling back layers of history you can actually walk through. And speaking of layers, the old town itself is built on different levels.
Which is why those viewing platforms, Kotuotsa and Patkulia, are so key.
Right, for those panoramic shots. The rooftops, the harbor, even the modern business district way off. Gives you the lay of the land.
Definitely helps you understand the city's structure, how the old and new fit together. But if you want even higher views,
there are the churches you can climb. 4 of them. St. Olaf seems to be the big one.
Literally big, over 123 meters tall, and the platform's 60 meters up.
Okay, but the climb sounds challenging. Yeah. 258 steps. Narrow, high steps with ropes to help.
Yeah, not for everyone, maybe. But those 360-degree views, Old Town Business District, harbor, must be incredible.
Especially in summer. They keep the platform open later in July and August. Catch the evening light.
Perfect. Now, all that climbing, you're going to need refreshments.
Definitely. And the guide has tips for the old town. Gelato ladies. Award-winning Italian-style ice cream.
Sounds essential on a hot day. Statue and mango flavors are apparently the ones to try.
Noted. And for a proper meal, maybe a nice summer evening, Lee Restaurant gets a shout-out.
Oh, yeah. What's the vibe?
Peaceful inner courtyard tucked between medieval walls, farm-to-table contemporary Estonian food, and they do some creative take on an Estonian curd snack. Sounds intriguing.
It does, that mix of tradition and innovation again. Okay, so when you're ready to leave the Old Town bubble, where next?
Patrice-Gabrielle Creative City. Only 10 minutes away, but sounds like a totally different world.
How so?
Hip, edgy, big street art scene. The guide mentions a piece called Stylishly Pink by someone named Isaac.
Cool. And Patrice-Gabrielle is all about repurposing old industrial buildings, right?
Yep.
Breathing new life into them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a long indoor shopping street with contemporary Estonian design. You can sometimes even see the artists working. Good spot for unique souvenirs, maybe.
Nice. More authentic than the usual tourist stuff and the food scene.
Bangin', according to the guide. Efhoon, for a quick lunch, they do a burger on Estonian dark rye bread.
Interesting twist. Not your standard bun.
Definitely not. And right next door, an award-winning local brewery good for IPA fans. Plus, a wine shop called Addis selling wines made from Estonian berries.
Berry wine, like raspberry.
Rhubarb,
Ooh, rhubarb wine. Gotta be curious about that, right? Shows that local ingenuity.
for sure. And the crown jewel to Tallinn, the guide says, is Fotografiska Tallinn.
Ah, yes, the photography museum. Sounds amazing. It does. A kanji-style coffee shop with big photo displays, multiple floors of world-class exhibitions, each room with a different vibe.
A sustainable restaurant and a rooftop terrace bar.
With sunset views over the old town. Yeah. Sounds like a perfect evening plan right there.
It really does. Culture, food, views. Picks all the boxes.
Totally captures that blend of culture and modern cool that Tallinn seems to have. Okay, shifting gears again.
Yeah.
Where does the guide take us next?
To somewhere greener. Kedriorg Park.
Ah, the big park with the palace.
Exactly. Home to one of Estonia's best-looking palaces, apparently. And Tallinn's largest park, over 70 hectares.
Yeah.
About 15 minutes from the city center.
And the palace itself. Kedriorg Palace. Built by Peter the Great for Catherine the Great, 18th century.
Baroque summer residence. Sounds grand. Ornate interior, big ballroom with a massive ceiling painting, Catherine's initials. All that jazz.
Plus the gardens, beautifully manicured, fountains, flowers, green arbors. Must be lovely for a stroll.
Yeah, a real escape. And nearby is the Mikkeli Museum, which has foreign art, included on the Tallinn card, too.
Good tip. But Kedriorg Park isn't just about the past, is it? There's a major modern art museum there, too.
Right. Kumu Art Museum, Estonia's largest contemporary art museum, and apparently considered one of Europe's best since it opened in 2006.
Wow. And it covers Estonian art from the 18th century right up to today, across 4 floors.
Yeah, quite comprehensive. And there's this installation called Seagull with 83 busts of important cultural figures. Sounds quite striking.
And the building itself is meant to be impressive architecturally. Cut into a limestone cliff, sharp edges.
Yeah, art inside and out. Now, if you need a break while you're in Kedriorg, Cafe Cook.
What's the lowdown?
Friendly place, fresh baked goods, good coffee, another peaceful inner courtyard. Sounds like a solid pit stop.
Definitely. And for something maybe a bit more upscale in the evening.
Monroe Restaurant. It's an historic 19th century summer villa, has a rose garden. Their signature dish is lobster ravioli.
Ooh, fancy. Sounds lovely. It's these little local tips that really help you imagine being there, you know?
Totally. And the guide suggests ending the day with a walk through the park towards the Rusalka Memorial, then catching the sunset over Tallinn Bay from the Pirita Road Promenade.
Ah, like a local tradition. Sounds like a perfect, picturesque end to a day.
Agreed. Okay, so from Grand Parks to the seaside, Nordlesner is next.
Right, the trendy, up-and-coming area. Former submarine shipyard, about 20-25 minutes from the old town. Sounds like it has its own distinct vibe.
Definitely. And it's home to the Seaplane Harbor Museum, which, get this, is currently the most popular museum in Tallinn.
That's saying something. What's the big draw?
Well, it's huge, over 200 items, including a real full-size decommissioned submarine called the Lembit that you could actually go inside.
Whoa, seriously, you can explore the sub.
Yep. Imagine squeezing through those narrow tunnels, seeing where the 32-person crew lived and worked. Pretty powerful.
Absolutely. And there are outdoor exhibits too, like an old icebreaker ship.
A 100-year-old steam-powered icebreaker you can climb aboard and explore. Loads of hands-on history.
Fantastic. And Noblessner also has something called the Proto-Invention Factory. Sounds different.
Very different. Focuses on 20th century inventions, but uses loads of virtual reality.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Like flying an air balloon, escaping a prison, stealing gold from cowboys, flying around a steampunk city, all in VR.
Huh. Sounds like fun. And a VR biking competition.
Apparently. Definitely embracing that tech side of Tallinn.
For sure. It really highlights that innovative spirit. Now, if you're Noblessner for the evening, what about dinner options?
Seems like there are plenty. Lore Bistro gets a specific mention. Unique design, uses old industrial cranes, has a green tiled fireplace,
Interesting decor.
and the food, bold flavors. Charred leek with cashew sauce, smoked trout on Estonian greens.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious. Plus an outdoor terrace overlooking the marina.
Nice. And there's an Agavaria bar, Mexican spirits.
Yeah, agave spirits. And for the really adventurous, Mexican chapulines.
Fabulines. Wait, aren't those grasshoppers?
Spicy ones, apparently. Definitely not for everyone, but hey, it's an option.
Wow. Okay, maybe stick to the agave spirits for me. So with all these different areas, Old Town, Teleskivi, Kedriorg, Noblessner, how easy is it to actually navigate Tallinn?
Well, the guide emphasizes it's pretty compact. A lot of museums are walkable or just a short public transport right away.
Okay, that's good to know. And the Tallinn card seems useful if you're hitting multiple museums. Covers transport, too.
Yeah, sounds like a decent deal if you plan more than, say, 3 museum visits in a day.
And what about cycling? Is that feasible?
It is. The Old Town cobbles might be a bit tricky. Need to be careful there. But there's a promenade route from the Old Town out to Cadriorg Park and then on to Purita Promenade that sounds perfect for biking.
Oh, nice. Flat and comfortable.
Seems like it. And it gets you right by the sea, access to water activities like sailing, windsurfing, or just chilling on the beach. City bike rentals are available, maybe even with a discount.
Cool. So it sounds like a city that's pretty easy to get around, offering different ways to explore depending on what you like.
Definitely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, Tallinn really does seem to nail that blend we talked about at the start, doesn't it?
Yeah, that captivating mix of medieval charm and this really vibrant modern energy. Hopefully you listening now have a much better, sort of richer feel for what makes the city tick.
Absolutely. And maybe think about what part of Tallinn sparked your curiosity the most. Was it the incredible history in the old town?
Or maybe the cool modern art and design in places like Teleskivi and Kumu, or that innovative tech side like at Proto, or maybe just the seaside vibe.
Lots to chew on. And maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Go on.
Considering Tallinn's long history, absorbing all these different influences over centuries, and now it's a big embrace of technology. What do you think the next surprising chapter in its story might be?
That's a good question. It definitely feels like a city that's still evolving, still writing its story.